So as a quick reminder, just remember that our pattern for our scales is tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. And that will help you to build all of your major scales. If you follow along on the keyboard, even if you don't know the key signature, this will provide a lot of help to you. It's kind of like understanding the theory behind a math principle, or a math formula, I mean. Then you need to be familiar with the names that we give to each degree of the scale. So we have tonic, and then supertonic is better than tonic. And then I think of mediant as being in the middle, because when we use a triad, right, we use 1, 3, 5. So mediant, middle, it's kind of the middle note of the triad. Subdominant, sub means underneath, right? Like a subfloor or a sub-basement. So subdominant is underneath dominant. And then the cool part about submediant is that it's 3 from the top, and mediant is 3 from the bottom. So that's kind of cool. And then leading tone's easy because it leads up to the top. And then tonic is here. It's again the same as at the bottom. So when it comes to actually writing the scales, we can write our scales 2 different ways. We can write them with a key signature, and I'll show you how to do that right now. So let's pick, for example, D major. We have an F sharp and a C sharp. We're going to put them at the beginning, and then I'm going to draw all of my notes. Beginning on a D, ending on a dop D, and coming back down. And I'm done. It's a piece of cake. I usually like to add a bar line after my top note. That's just a common good practice to get into. Then we have another way, and I'll use blue to show this. We can write using accidentals. And I'm going to use the bass clef here. So I'm going to start on a bass clef D, which looks like that. And I'm going to do just like I did at the beginning. I'm going to write all the way up to a D. B, C, I'm going to have to use above a ledger line here. D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D. But you'll notice here that I didn't put anything at the beginning. And that's because I'm going to save it and I'm going to put in front of my F and in front of my C here. I'm going to put my bar line here, which cancels out those sharps, and I have to redraw them. C sharp, D, E. That one doesn't really look like it's an F, but it is an F. So I've put my sharps right in, and that's how you write scales using accidentals. And we do that either way, because in our pieces it can be either way. Either the sharps can be collected at the beginning in a key signature, or they can be scattered throughout the piece. So that's how you do major scales. I'm going to switch now to minor scales. I may have to go to my computer. Hold on 1 second. Okay, here we go. So let's use, I don't know, let's say D minor with 1 flat. So if I was using a key signature, I'm going to put in my 1 flat, and I'm going to start on a D. I'm going to go all the way up to the top, and I'm going to come back down to a D. And if I wanted natural minor, and I'll play that for you really quickly. It sounds like you're floating. It sounds very unfinished. What if I wanted, though, to do D harmonic minor? And I'll redraw that down here. I'll use the D in the bass clef, which starts here. Oh, I didn't go all the way up to a D. Silly me. This is not going to work. Hopefully you didn't copy that down. So we have our C, our D, our C. There we go, that's better. And if I wanted to do harmonic, I need to look for number 7, which is this one, and I'm going to raise it up one semitone. Right now, according to my key signature over here, C is just nothing, so I'm going to raise it up by putting a sharp in front of it. And I'm going to draw a bar line here, and I'm going to sharp it on the way back down too. And last but not least, I'll give you an example of a melodic minor. And I'm going to give you, I think, a tricky example, just so that we can stretch our brains. Let's use, G harmonic minor like we usually do. So we'll do 2 flats. I don't think this one's going to be as tricky as I was anticipating, but it's good practice. So we start on a G. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, I'm done. I come all the way back down. And I'm going to look at number 6 and 7 this time, because we should label it on the side. This is melodic. So, well, actually, this is a good example now that I'm thinking about it. Let's look at note number 6. So I'm looking at this one right here. It's an E. Well, according to my key signature over here, E is already flat. So how am I going to raise it up one semitone? Well, I'm going to have to put in a natural. And then I look at my F. F, according to my key signature, is nothing, so to raise it, I'm going to have to put in a sharp. And I'll draw a bar line. On the way down, this bar line is going to cancel out this. So I'll put a natural in just for kicks, but it doesn't really need to be there, it's just a reminder. And then we have this, E, it's back to being flat from the key signature. So really, that's in brackets, and that's in brackets. You don't need either of them because that bar line cancels them out. And that's how you do melodic minor. So hopefully that's clear, and that's minor and major scales.